quick dump my protein from the ferment. It's early, already got bubbling. I'm going to shut the butterfly valve. It shuts this off. So now I can safely take this out. I'm going to grab a bucket real quick. We're going to go with the tray. I'm going to take my blow-off tube off. Move my sanitizer growler. Move that. This is shut off. You want to get that protein off of there. You don't want anything to do with that in your ferment. Now this is going to splash a little bit. This is what is expected. Lots of protein. I'm going to dump that in my sink. Next thing I'm going to do is fill this up with sanitizer and let it sit there for a couple minutes. I'm also going to spray up into my conical with a little bit of sanitizer. I'm going to go ahead and dump my sanitizer back into my sanitizer bucket. Reattach my seal. Reattach sight glass. That baby on. Tighten it down. And then you always want to take your blow tube off of your sanitizer bucket, otherwise right now you'd get sucked back. I'm going to open this valve. There'll be more proteins and trub in there, maybe a little bit of yeast, dead yeast, and the blow-off tube goes right back into the bucket. Now what a lot of people do is they hook up their elbow right here, and then the elbow goes right into their bucket that they would later harvest the yeast in. And so you might be thinking, why don't I do that? Well, that's because the yeast gets super thick down here, so it kind of makes like a shield. And then so when you open your valve, it kind of just like the liquid blasts through it and the yeast kind of gets still stuck, so it like pokes a hole through it. You blow a hole through your yeast and all the beer comes out, the yeast is kind of stuck behind. So what I do to remedy that is I basically just use this as a catch-all. So this would be an absolute good way to do this. You see what your yeast looks like, cool, it looks like I want it, open valve, dump yeast through the elbow into your collection vessel. You can see all this protein. It's actually probably more like yeast and protein. That's dirty, that's gross. I'm gonna get that out of there. That's all clumped up over the last couple days, so I'm gonna basically do the same thing that I did the other day and just get that out of there. Hopefully my next one will be all yeast that I can actually harvest. Right. I dumped all that protein and trub and yeast and junk and garbage, so about to have a nice clean sight glass installed here. Like I said, hopefully next time I'll be collecting yeast out of this thing. So let's reattach this. We'll wait a couple days and see what we get. So now that that's reattached, I got my blow-off tube disconnected. Everything's tight. This is still tight. Open this baby back up. Okay, and I'll put my blow-off tube back into my sanitizer jar. This is what my sight glass looks like right now. See, there's a little bit of liquid up there, if you can see that. It's a little bit murky. Actually a little bit better on this side. You can see the nice creaminess, you can see some dirty creaminess. It's all kind of marbled in together. That's alright. This is what I'm going to harvest. I'm slowly starting to raise my temperature up for my rest, and then I'm going to dry hop. So I'm going to get this yeast out of here so I can snag that before I get any hot particles in there. I have my cleaned and sanitized mason jar, pretty much the same size as my sight glass. I have my dip tube out of my sanitizer bucket. It's not in there. I got my valve closed, and I'm going to go ahead and remove my sight glass. This is going to be pretty thick. So it might take a little bit to let it flow into there. I guess my sight glass wasn't as big as I thought. Still got some yeast glugging in there. I mean, what I have is adequate. I'll probably just stop right there. One more chunk. Boom. Alright, this is sanitized too. Get the extra little bit off of there. Capper. Not extremely tight. We'll watch this. I'll keep tabs on this, but you can see what it looks like right now. Man, I should almost dump that into another jar. Maybe I'll do that real quick. So in theory, the yeast should be all on the top and the junk should be on the bottom. So all I'm going to do is sanitize another jar and quick sneak that good yeast off of the top. Alright, we're going to go ahead and separate out these layers. This lid will fit on that lid. I'm going to pour really carefully. Good enough for me. Cap it. And I'll write on there, lager, 3rd generation, 5/14 of 18. That's good. So like 2 weeks later, this is my lager yeast, and it's all settled, compacted. And when I'm ready to brew with this, I will make a starter and I will get some healthy cells, and then I'll pitch it into my wort. This beer right here is what I harvested that yeast from. It's a great beer. I didn't pay for the yeast, which I brewed it with. And then I plan on using that yeast at least one more time for my next lager. So that's the benefit of harvesting yeast, is you cut out that cost. So just wanted to say thanks for watching my videos, and brew on.
Hey yo, raise 'em up, hold your cup, let the Alizé fill them up. Love passion, niggas who be acting. Great goose, cranberry juice, absolute, but those who can't afford the goose. Malibu, coconut rum, amaretto sour, coke and rum, we getting drunk. Tennessee, BSOP, A's in the pound, 33 years. My girls been liming their beers. Y'all niggas stiff lines in the stairs. German beers, hide again.